All righty, I think we're recording. Okay, great. Let's begin. Okay, I wanted to welcome everyone to the Culture Project series Called to Love, Called to Hope, streaming on Facebook Live every weekday evening, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 4 p.m. Pacific. My name is Lindsay. I'm a part of the Culture Project team, and I'm joined today by a really incredible guest, someone who brings my life and the world a lot of hope. And his name is Bill Dunahee. He works at the Theology of the Body Institute. He serves as a lecturer, content specialist there. So Bill, I wanted to just welcome you to tonight's Facebook Live. Thank you for being with us. How are you doing?
Sure, I'm doing well, all things considered, Lindsay. Yeah, unprecedented times we're living in. But Rebecca, my wife, my 4 children, 11, 9, 7, and 4 years old, we're all sequestered in our home. We're doing well. We're healthy. We have plenty of toilet paper and hand sanitizer.
Good. Glad to hear that.
But yeah, we're doing well. And thanks for having me tonight. I'm really excited about our chat.
Sure. Yes, of course. I'm so happy to have you. Our Wednesday night live stream is inviting formators of the Culture Project, of our missionaries and our team. And Bill and the Theology of the Body Institute has worked with us in various capacities for the past few years. And we've used so much of their material just to form us and form our hearts so that we can serve and that we can go out on mission. And you're absolutely right. These are unprecedented times. And just really looking forward to diving into a conversation with you now about the theology of the body, surprise, surprise, about identity, about being made in the image and likeness of God, male and female, and maybe the lens that we can look at these times that we're in now. So I would love to just ask you first and foremost a question I'm sure you get all the time. What is the theology of the body? And for maybe someone who's never heard of it before, and how can we use it to kind of look at the times that we're living in right now with the coronavirus?
Sure. Yeah. No, thank you, Lindsay. Yeah. It is a question I get very often. What is this theology of the body? But what's interesting is, and I'm sure many of your viewers, listeners have certainly heard about it, prayed about it, studied it themselves. But the funny thing is, I've been intently studying it for 20 years now.
Wow.
And it's been a part of my life since I was literally 16 years old. I first encountered it in 1986. But intently studying it for the last 20 years, I don't get tired of answering the question, what is theology of the body?
I love it.
It continues to fascinate me, intrigue me, draw me out of myself. It literally never becomes boring. Like, oh, I've answered this question. Just go to that article I wrote 10 years ago and just read about it there. So, and I find myself too, when someone asks, it's like the Lord's nuancing it in new ways. And I couldn't tell you how many different times, I articulated it in a unique way, but so coming at it fresh, Lindsay, what is theology of the body? I really see it. And I've always kind of seen it even before I knew it. It's a sacramental way of looking at life, human life uniquely and specifically, but really all of life, all of creation as God has formed it. So what does that mean to say, like a sacramental way of looking? Theology of the body means that the eternal word, theology is really the word of God, has penetrated and permeated biology. So God, who made the world, has left traces of his glory, attributes of his perfection, truth, beauty, goodness in everything. And so theology of the body is to kind of be opening our eyes to see that the Lord uses matter. He loves it. He made matter. He uses it as a channel or viaduct in which to really intoxicate us, pull us up out of ourselves, draw us into beauty. And I know we're going to talk about beauty in this time of formation. So for John Paul II, he's the one, of course, who sort of synthesized this Catholic vision, this sacramental vision in the words theology of the body. He was a man, a poet, a playwright, an artist, an avid lover of creation who himself was intoxicated by creation. I mean, he said in the beginning of his, like literally a month before he became Pope, he said something that I love, that he said, we need to encounter wonder. We need to make a climate of wonder and like he said, we should marvel at everything that is in man. So for John Paul II, theology of the body is marveling at man and woman. Really, I mean, that's it. That we could go on and on, obviously, for 6 hours, like peeling back the other layers of what theology of the body is. But it's a way of seeing God is inscribing in creation, and ourselves especially, something amazing. That's theology of the body. And reading it brings joy.
Beautiful. And through that explanation, thank you. Thanks, Bill. And I love your fascination. One of my favorite things about you is just the way that you fascinate about everything that God has given us. I took a course, Bill taught a course last summer through the Theology of the Body Institute called The Way of Beauty. And I was just amazed by just how Bill unpacked, everything from music to poems to, literature, movies, everything like can speak of this beautiful story. And I love that because of the definition that you gave and the way that you explain it. This is for everyone. This is for young and old. This is for parent, for child, for grandparent, anyone tuning in. This is a mystery to unpack for you. Right. Not just somebody who is married or in a specific location. This is a universal, and this is a mystery that continues to give us more and more. Like you're saying, you've been studying it for years, and there is always, always more that's revealed to us. Beautiful. Right. So what do you think, how do you feel like God is revealing through this time, through this day when we're living, I think we're just living, even in the past week, so much has changed. I mean, schools have closed, professional sports teams have stopped playing, large gatherings are being separated, and even our churches are closing for Sunday Mass and daily Mass. What is God trying to do in this time? And how are you looking at it?
Yeah, that's an excellent question, Lindsay. I'm in the middle of processing it myself, I think, prayerfully walking through it. But obviously, we talk about, in Catholic theology, we talk about God's active will and his permissive will, right? His active will is like creating a universe, a beautiful universe that speaks of his love and mystery. He creates us all objectively, making us in his image and likeness, his active will, salvation history. But then permissive will is the brokenness we experience in the world, sin, suffering, death, disease, illness, virus. His permissive will, in his wisdom, he sees a greater good coming. And so he says, okay, let this unfurl. You might not get it in the moment, but trust me here. I'm not going to put my active will and stop this and cure everybody. I'm going to let it unfold because I see something greater coming. So that's where we are right now. We're trying to unpack the permissive will of God that says, okay, this thing's going to go viral. And that's a word we typically use with internet. Now it's, oh, wow. Yeah. Virus, viral. Now I get it. I think, well, we've been obsessed with, this is the irony, I think. This phrase now, social distancing.
Yeah.
Lindsay, you know this, anyone who's taken a course with me, I've talked a lot about social distancing through the gadgets. I've been talking about how digital technology, our smartphones and things like that, as wonderful as they are, have actually distanced us a lot. And suddenly we find ourselves in a place where we're literally distanced. And I think the first couple of weeks here, people have maybe binged a lot on Netflix. Maybe they've just obsessed about social media. We're reading every article we can about this coronavirus.
Right.
I think we're hitting a point right now where we're just like, I need more than this digital thing that I've been flipping through before this coronavirus struck. So what is the Lord saying right now? I think he's saying, let it go. Let it go. You can't go anywhere right now. You can't go out to the movies. You can't even go to church. You can't go to the mall. You can't go play sports. You can't go to a park even that's full of people or a beach. I think he's saying, I want you to fast because it's going to teach you the feast. It's going to show you how amazing it's going to be again, and it will come. There will be an end to this. To actually say, hey, neighbor, and like engage people again and move around in these activities where it's like real life. I think the fasting is going to train us better to enjoy the feast that has always been there. You know, wouldn't that be awesome if when this
Yeah.
thing passes, we actually are so done at staring at these stupid things
Mhm.
because we did it in
Mhm.
isolation for a month with coronavirus,
Right.
that we actually say like, I lost my flavor for it. I want to
Mm.
talk to you. I want to see your real FaceTime, you know? Maybe that's what's coming.
Hmm.
Let me add one thought to that, Lindsay. One thought.
Yes. Yes.
Um, on New Year's Day this year, we had
Mhm.
some family stuff going on that was really intense with some of our kiddos, one of our kids.
Mm.
And I just, like, the Lord was just, I suddenly got a distaste for social media, which
Mm.
I had, you know, I often share quite a bit on it. And I literally unplugged and dropped it. It's been almost 3 months,
Wow, I didn't know
actually over
that.
3 months. Yeah.
Mhm.
And I just said, I'm kind of done.
Mhm.
And then this coronavirus hit, and I was already sort of like detoxed. I'm like, I just want to be a little more present. I want to go deeper
Mhm.
into my own Father's heart
Mhm.
and try to just let it all go. And I feel like the Lord is now speaking through that. Like, yeah, just that's it. Be simple, be present,
Mm.
soak in this present moment, because what else is there really?
Right.
Theology of the body is really about presence and attentiveness
Mhm.
to the present moment. So
Mhm.
maybe that's what's coming. That's what he's trying to gift us with, right?
Yeah, awesome reflection. Thanks, Bill. And
Mhm.
thank you for sharing a little bit about your experience too, and just feeling like I need to drop it
Yeah.
and coming to just that's kind of something I have been reflecting on as well in this time of just, I've been so numb to the precious and beautiful human interactions in my life. And a lot of that has come through social media and technology and my attachment to my phone. And dreaming about what will happen after this. The Lord's almost like trying to get our attention through, the fact that we can't fill our schedule. I can't fill my day. I can't fill
Yes.
it out hour by hour. And it makes me think about how he really wants us to experience beauty and what is beautiful, and
Yes.
the hope of kind of, well, I guess experiencing that now today. How can I enter into beauty in this situation, in this
Mhm.
circumstance? And then how will it make all of those moments after this has come to pass even sweeter? So
Yes.
I guess I would love to hear a little bit about your thoughts on, it's a time where people can become isolated. And we know, I mean, through the text of St. John Paul II, like we're made for communion, we're made for union with others, and we find our fulfillment in that.
Mhm.
How can we do that in this time instead of maybe isolating and turning in, and
Mhm.
filling that ache and that desire with things that are not going to fill us?
Yeah.
um, yeah, I just wonder your thoughts on that.
Sure. Yeah. I think we should preface it. Well, let's, if listeners aren't familiar with John Paul's structure of theology of the body, let's do this, because
Mm-hmm.
you did cut to the chase. I mean, he talks about communion of persons.
Mm-hmm.
That's who the Trinity is, Father, Son, and Spirit, and that's who we are meant to be
Mm-hmm.
as man, woman, child. But any friendship, human interaction, religious community, we're made to
Mm-hmm.
be in relationship. And that's really the goal, to be in communion of hearts. But this is an interesting time, as you said, where it's kind of like, I'm not allowed to do that. Right? I
Mm-hmm.
can't be in a group of people, more than 10 people or whatever it is now. It's probably
Mm-hmm.
even lower than that. We're locked down.
Mm-hmm.
This makes me think about John Paul II's first original experience that he meditates on, and you know it well, original solitude, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, original solitude, it isn't exactly solitary confinement or loneliness or
Mm-hmm.
aloneness, in the sense that it's just all negative and painful and I feel cut off. It's actually an essential ingredient to becoming human, so that we can enter more into communion with others.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we skip over the solitude because usually I don't want to feel that ache in that loneliness. I just want to be with somebody, right? Um, this can be really bad because we can become a person who's clingy, right? Everybody can think of somebody in their life, maybe, you know, or maybe they had a past boyfriend or girlfriend who was clingy. And there's something about that clinginess that we reject, because it's like, wait, I can't fulfill you. I'm not your Messiah.
Mm-hmm.
You might need to be alone for a little bit to figure out who you are and whose you are. Then you'll be ready to become a total gift. So here we are in solitude. We're experiencing original solitude. And I was talking with my Immaculata University students last night. We had our class online,
Mm-hmm.
and a number of these young adults like yourself, they were saying, I'm bored. I'm bored. And I kind of laughed because we have 4 small kids who are, I'm like, I pray for boring moments. Can we have a dull moment, Lord? Rebecca and I are like, well, like, come over to our house, but you can't, it's lockdown.
Right.
But what we talked about, one of my students last night, his name was Aiden. He said, actually, Mr. Johnny, I'm kind of enjoying this. I feel like I'm getting comfortable with the quiet, and I'm reading books that I wanted to read, and I like the quiet. I'm like, ding, ding, ding. Good job, Aiden. Here's the thing. Again, we already said it, like, we discover ourselves in solitude. What does John Paul II say about that in Theology of the Body? He says there's an awakening for the human person, male and female, in solitude. We get great gifts, and you might remember this from TOB. We get the gift of self-awareness, right? Like, I'm a person. I have an interior life. I can dream, think, love, hope, long. And then I get the gift of self-determination. I can choose. I can make decisions. I can enter into things and make relationships happen. But it's like it's here, and I got to rest in that. So this is a time right now. How is Theology of the Body applicable to this coronavirus lockdown, solitary time? Take the deep breath. Have I asked myself existential questions like, who am I? What do I want? What does my life look like right now? I know this involuntary retreat is causing us to just ask these questions, and maybe it's like, I don't want to, what else is on? Right. And we're flicking through, but it's like, well, wait, don't lose this time. Remember, Lindsay, you might remember this quote from Blaise Pascal, the French philosopher mathematician. He said, all of humanity's problems stem from the fact that we can't sit quietly in a room alone.
Wow. Yes.
Yeah, let's say that again because it's awesome. All of humanity's problems flow from the fact that we can't sit quietly in a room alone. So if we don't do the solitude, who am I? Who are you, Lord? We're going to rush out prematurely into communion.
Yeah.
And I grab you and I'll grab you and you make me happy. No, you make me happy. No, this makes me happy. This makes me happy. I need something else to make me happy. It's like, wait a minute. You are made in happiness by the Lord of joy. Slow down and think about that. Right? Now, it's not easy. And this could be the next segue in the ache.
Sure.
Right?
Yep.
Not easy to sit there.
Right.
But I'll stop talking for a minute because I feel like, ooh, man, I need to sit in this for,
I know that quote. Oh my goodness. We just need to be able to sit in silence and let that teach us something about who we are. You're so right in referring back to original solitude. We're made for communion with God. And that's something I think in the work that I've done in reaching out to young people, you're so right in the way that we so quickly grasp for that fulfillment. And then like your student last night you were talking to, we get a taste of the real solitude and real communion with God. And it's so novel to us. We don't know how to just stay there. I think about, everywhere we go, the grocery store, the doctor's office, we're just like sitting and scrolling, and we miss out on an essential, communion because we just want to commune digitally. Not saying it's bad, but we're just so quick to try and fill it. We're so quick to try and fill.
That's right. And there's a huge difference between a tool that, and we've talked about this, privately and in classes, there's a big difference between the communication this affords and the communion that real life affords. Like right now, communion is the end game, right? Communication is a means towards the end game. So right now I'm looking out my window here in my little man cave office at our house, and which has all my stuff around that I love. If I look out, I see our maple tree is starting to bud. I see a dogwood tree across the street that has blossoms on it. There's a cloudy sky and rain. Like, to be present right now, to drink deep of what is around me in this moment, just even in the 20 feet that surround us. Don't just to anybody watching this right now, don't feel like, I just can't wait till this is over. Can we just get this over? I just can't wait to get out. Like, wait a minute. Like, look around the 20 feet that surround you right now. What's going on? we all know the experience of slowing down makes life richer. If you drive your car to the grocery store to get milk and bread and butter and toilet paper and hand sanitizer, right? You're driving your car, you drive 5 minutes, you grab it, you go. But if you walk, like I'm going to walk today, and you walk 15 minutes, which is more fulfilling and rewarding? Always the walk. Every time, because you're walking, you're slowing down, you're saying, wow, look, I never noticed that before. Hey, there's a statue of Our Lady in that person's yard. Hail Mary, full of grace, here's some trees, here's a flower bed. Wow, great landscaping on that neighbor's house there. And then you actually see people and you're like, hey, how's it going? I really do feel like this time, don't waste it. People are starting to slow down a little bit. People are starting to appreciate a little bit. 2 nights ago, we made a campfire in the backyard, which is like my favorite thing. And it's the return to reality for me, right? Because it's like, here's these primordial things, I made fire and the kids gather around and we're roasting marshmallows and they're cutting tree branches to make, to roast their marshmallows with. And there's nothing to do except be. And it's always more rewarding, always more enriching every time.
I love that. I guess I want to ask everybody who's tuning in, what is your return to reality? Is it a campfire outside? Is it a walk to your neighbors, even though you can't go inside, walk around the neighborhood?
You can wave.
Waving, yes. Is it like spending 5 minutes with the person you live with or your child and just staring at their face? Or what is it baking something and building something with your hands? There was someone that was in our course last summer who was a blacksmith. He loved blacksmithing. And I think he, since the course, like went back to that because that was a part of his childhood, I think, or memories with his father. And these things we can do to take us back to reality always involve beauty and just what is speaking to us, or maybe what spoke to us as a child. I think that's such a great takeaway, Bill. What is our return to reality? How can we fill our days now with those things? Or maybe not even fill our days, just be okay with not filling them.
Yes. Or just, sort of declutter mind and heart and physical surroundings even, to ask the question, what fulfills me or fills me? This goes back to that word ache that we talked about already a little bit. We can easily flood our brains, our eyes, our senses with all sorts of digital content because we're just, there's nothing else to do. I can't go to work.
Yep.
So encouraging everybody listening right now, give yourself an hour to just sit out in the backyard or sit in your favorite prayer chair or something, light a candle, just sit there for a little bit and just, what fills me? What do I love? And let yourself go back to your, like you just referenced, your childhood. Before all this internet stuff, that now I feel like is my only option because I'm bored, because I'm in lockdown. What did I used to get excited about? What did I look at? What did I listen to? What geography inspired me? Did I love to go into gardens? Did I love to go there, the sea or the mountain? And think about like what moved your heart and just hang out there for a little bit. This could be one of the greatest graces of this coronavirus shutdown. Is the whole return to reality. And that I don't need to, maybe I've overcomplicated my life. Maybe I have committed the sin of digital gluttony. And it's time to, it's time to fast so that I can really, really savor the thing right in front of my face the whole time.
Right.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
So good. So good. I guess one of my final thoughts for you, Bill, is how would you, and these aren't even necessarily Catholic things. These are human things.
Yes, they are.
How would you begin to lead someone into this, maybe who's in your home who isn't Catholic or doesn't kind of have this lens or is very busy or used to being very busy that, like all of us, I mean, I am guilty as charged, but how would you begin to have this kind of conversation, lead someone to beauty, who might not know this kind of language or have this lens?
Yeah, great question. By Providence, I stumbled onto some writing of Helen Keller a couple of months ago. And I don't know if listeners are familiar with Helen Keller. So her story is that by the age of 2 or 3, she suddenly lost everything, her eyesight, her hearing, the ability really to speak because she hadn't fully learned. And she lived in complete darkness. Talk about isolation.
Right.
So she had her sense of taste and touch and smell, and that's it. It was just a darkness. So how can we begin to speak to people? I was reading Helen Keller when her amazing teacher Anne Sullivan opened up her other senses and opened up the world to her. She started to understand language. It was this amazing moment at the water pump where she's trying to sign into her hand letters, and she lets the water fall over her open palm, and suddenly it's like boom, she moves from like a 2-dimensional existence to a 3-dimensional existence, and she gets that words have meaning, and she feels. Helen Keller wrote this beautiful essay about, if I could see for 3 days, what would I do?
Wow.
If I could hear for 3 days, what would I do? And it blew me away. She sucked the marrow out of life. She's like, I would appreciate every blossom, every flower. She runs her hand along the ivy. She grabs the rose, and it was like, and I'm weeping thinking about, man, I got this stuff all around me. So how do we introduce people? You have 5 senses. Most of us, right? Most of us are gifted with 5 senses.
Yep.
Start there. Start right there, because each of those senses are viaducts for the Lord to come into. So it's like the appreciation of, you mentioned it was Todd Masters who was doing the metal work, the blacksmith work.
That's right.
Like, just like, what do you love? Like, he loves that, like, what are you interested in? Get people to, listen to them and enter into what they're passionate about. And people are passionate by nature, right? So find ways in. It's first listening to people and what they're really interested in, and like engaging that. Like, tell me more about that. Let them open up their heart and just gush it out. And you'll find a way to connect. And don't worry about, well, I have to Catholicize this, or I should say something from the catechism. Right? That's not necessary. Like, you're meeting them at the most basic human level, which is where Jesus met everybody.
Right.
And from that encounter with life and reality, we start moving closer and closer to the Word made flesh. And then you go back into all those things you thought were mundane or trite. You're like, wow, everything is holy now. Everything is holy now. Everything is holy now.
Yeah.
It's not boring, right, Lindsay? I mean, you can
Never
see, like,
boring.
Please God, I need 50 more years to appreciate in this world this theology of the body. It's never going to dry up.
Never. And we need
Thanks.
it. We need it now more than ever.
Amen.
Well, this has been just such a gift. Bill, I'm so thankful for your time, your fascination, your wonder. You're teaching me again. Every time I talk to you, it's like, oh yeah, wonder at the tree, wonder at this, wonder at creation. And I think about all of those pictures that you've shown in class of St. John Paul II sitting out. He just had a chair in nature on a mountaintop, looking, reading, writing. That's where his poetry came from, was his contact with reality. And I just want to give that to everyone, just in the words of Bill, just coming back to reality during this time, through beauty, through the things that pull your heart and move your heart, and let this be a time not wasted, that we may drink that in, so that communion is sweeter, and just life, we see it with a more beautiful lens, the lens of truth. So yes, Bill, thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciative of your time, your thoughts. How can anyone who's watching learn more about you or more about the Theology of the Body Institute?
Sure. And thank you, Lindsay. Thanks for allowing me to open up the door of my heart. I never, I never grow tired of speaking about this. Thanks be to God that he's gifted it to me and gifted it to you and all of us. Well, I haven't been on social media much lately, but but you could go to @BillDonaghy on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. There's old stuff. If God calls me back, I'll go back. But also tobinstitute.org. Under our blog, there's a few articles. And I have a blog also out there. I mean, if you just Google Bill Donaghy, you might find a lot of articles. I wrote about 12 years worth of things. And yeah, just see you out there, if not face to face, after this pandemic thing passes over.
Yes,
thanks, Lindsay.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Bill. Thanks for being here today.
Okay. God bless.
God bless you.